So the next scenario is also about skipping the retrospective event in a weekly sprint. Let's do one thing. Let's not go to the breakout rooms and let's have an open discussion. I'll give you 2 minutes of time to read this, and then we can collectively discuss on this scenario. So your time starts now. Okay.
Are we
Again,
breaking up?
we are trying to break the framework. As per the Scrum framework, if at the end of the sprint you do a retrospective, if you don't do that, you're basically not following the framework. If at all I want to do every other sprint, then rather I would have a sprint for not 1 week but 2 weeks. But otherwise, I would rather follow up. Doesn't matter how much ever impact it has, but it has to be because a sprint is for the weeks. Then we need to go ahead with the retrospective. That's what I feel.
Yes. Thank you, Naresh. Garima?
Yeah, I too.
Yeah, hi. So what I feel like as a Scrum Master, this is something which is very important to have a sprint retrospective every sprint. So we cannot escape it. But yeah, instead of doing it for an hour long, we can reduce the time to 15 minutes or 30 minutes based on what all we have to discuss, and based on the everyone's availability, we can reduce the time, but we cannot escape it.
Okay. Thanks, Garima. Bruga?
Yes. Yeah, so I would also agree on the same thing. Sprint retrospective is one of the most important event of the Scrum. Based on that, we'll get to know what things worked and what didn't work in the sprint. And based on that, we can take the corrective action in next sprint. So definitely we can reduce the duration of the retrospective, but we should not skip this.
Okay. I would like to pause it, Mruga, and add one more point to it. There is a line that is mentioned that their experience is that the weekly sprint retrospective, they don't really, add anything. They don't really result in anything useful. Is there anything that we have to think about?
That's where the Scrum Master has to educate them, right? Every retrospective has some goal, right? Or they have to mention that in retrospective what went well, what didn't well, what learnings they had. That has to be showcased, and that education has to be done, or that awareness has to be done by a Scrum Master. And that is what our job is, to coach them, make them sure that even if it's a weekly sprint, we are still delivering. We are working on some useful and important stories, which has to be delivered on time and which has to add value to the client. So that that education or that knowledge has to be given to the team and make them sure that even if it's for a weekly sprint, we have to religiously follow and make sure that what learnings they have gathered during that has to be showcased and has to be taken in and has to be displayed in the next sprint. And we should not we should not do the same mistakes which we have done in the current sprint, because unless and until learnings are not taken into consideration, team will not grow and it will not effectively contribute and it will not add value, and that valuable increment which we are all aiming to deliver will not be satisfied, and client will not be happy. So considering all this, we have to make sure that those things, retrospection or retrospective has to be done, even if it's for a weekly sprint. That is what I want to say.
So why
Okay.
can't the team, including the Scrum Master, introspect if actually a 2 week sprint makes sense instead of a
Okay.
1 week
No,
sprint? That is.
I feel 1 week is fine. It depends. If it's a weekly sprint, it's fine. It doesn't make sense. If it's twice a week or 2 weeks sprint, that also doesn't make a difference, because even if it's a weekly sprint, we have our user stories lined up. We have those user story delivery. So we are working towards those user stories. Maybe the user stories we will be having less as compared to 2 weeks. So anyways, that spring will definitely add value. So it doesn't really make any difference if it's a weekly sprint or 2 week sprint. That's what I feel. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Satal. Shatabdi, you raised your hands. Do you want to continue?
Yeah, my point of view is same as he said, because retrospective is the event where we interact with the stakeholders to understand whether we are going right path or not, whether we are up to their expectation or not. So it is required, and as it is saying that the experience of the developer is whatever they are doing is not resulting it properly. So it is the what do you call? It is the responsibility of a sprint master, sorry, scrum master, that he has to tell the team, stating that first he has to understand that why team is saying it is not useful, where they are going wrong, what is the outcome of that particular event. Making the event shorter or longer, that is a different part. First, they have to understand why they are saying it is not useful. Why? So that is first, and then he has to make them understand where it is going wrong and what they have to improve. And then the time comes, like whether they're going to shorten the duration, longer the duration, that is a different part. That is
Okay.
my point of view.
Yeah.
Now,
Thanks,
see,
Shatabdi.
what I see is the whole purpose of retrospective is to collect feedback, understand what worked well, which practices are not working well. And if we are spending 1 hour to discuss and understand that, I don't know why would the team say that it is not something useful. You know, either the same thing is being repeated, which again is not good. If at all we know what did not work well, and the next week again we still know that same things are coming back again, not working well. So definitely some things need to be changed. But especially if we are spending 1 hour, definitely something is happening. That's why 1 hour being spent, and it's not getting it ended within 15 or 20 minutes. So why would they say that
Yeah.
it's not something
Action
good?
items not coming out and action items not getting done within the week.
I have a couple of hands raised. I would like to invite them. So Anand, would you like to share your opinion on it?
Yes,
Now,
Palak.
before you share, Anand, I would like to add one more point over here. So, how does this connect to true leadership? Can you answer this also? Can you view it from this perspective also? That how Scrum Master as a true leader can demonstrate those traits over here.
Right. So first thing is Scrum as a framework has to be used in an entirety. It's not like you would pick up some events and drop out some. Then you are not working on a Scrum. So if you are working on a Scrum, all these events or all these values, its artifacts, everything has to be followed in entirety. It is either 0 or 1. You are in a scrum or you are not in a scrum. Now if you are in a scrum, if you are following the scrum, all the events needs to be followed. Now coming to sprint retrospective, the team as mentioned maybe having the view that it is not resulting in any useful information, but since they are working on some action item, backlog items, definitely they would have learned something. So sharing that knowledge is also useful for the other team members. So I believe as a scrum master, he she should be able to communicate this to the team and teach them the useful of each events.
Okay. And then I'll take one last opinion from Renuka, and then we will conclude this. Renuka?
Yes, I have a little different opinion about it, particular to the retrospective meeting. All other events are very much means useful, and we should carry it on regular basis. But particularly for the retrospective, that it is not compulsory to have learnings in each sprint. So if it can be flexible, and if it is on if the sprint is particularly for a week, then we can sometimes keep the retrospective if there are no learnings from that sprint.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Renuka. Yes. Anyone who is trying to say something?
Yeah, this is Atul. Yeah, I disagree with Renuka, but anyways, that's fine. I don't want to get into.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So mostly all of you said that we should not skip retrospective. That's perfectly fine over here. That is what the expected answer is. Renuka, except from you, like everyone was on one side. So for you, this is important to know that we should keep the events as it is, because every sprint you are learning, and then you are moving to next sprint. So if you do not learn, you are not changing what you are doing. Okay, so you'll keep on making the same mistakes again and again. So skipping is not an option. But what I was looking was, how does this connect to true leadership? And as a scrum master, why aren't we able to read the room and see that the retrospectives that we are having, they are not adding value to the developers? So that is what as a true leader we should be doing, so that the change comes to them from within. That is what our job as a scrum master did. Inculcating continuous learning is a very difficult and responsible task, which scrum master has to inculcate in all the team members. Just by teaching them that retrospective is important, retrospective, you have to keep on learning, might not exactly create the outcome that you are expecting. So it is very important that you try to create an environment where continuous learning is a culture inhabited within your team. Jatin, do you want to share anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to say regarding uh, retrospective, the importance. I mean, it is also helpful. Let's say in the next sprint, during the backlog refinement session. So, during planning poker, it can help to, do the t-shirt sizing. So let's say, I mean, whatever learnings we had from a past sprint, and if a similar work is coming up once again, so it will help the developers to, like do the work estimate based on their past experience. So in from that perspective also, I think sprint retrospective is very important for, I mean, if you do some t-shirt sizing or any kind of work estimate based on a past experience.
Yes, absolutely. Retrospective is very important. But what is expected from a scrum master is to read the room. They have to gauge from their experience that how this event is affecting the team. Are they being productive? Is the meeting positive enough? Is it engaging enough? That is what they have to do it from the start, so that such situations do not arise immediately.
Exactly. So as a Scrum Master, I would ensure that I facilitate uh, the team being productive and facilitating useful retrospectives. So now I need to ensure that the team understands the usefulness of the retrospective as a Scrum Master. That's what I need to facilitate.
Yes. Thank you, Naresh. Sagar, any concluding thoughts?
Yeah. So while there are a couple of suggestions, if I'm the Scrum Master, regarding the suggestions from the developer, while I'm more aligned towards Scrum, I'll try to retrospect myself and also try to talk with developers that why retrospective don't result in anything useful for them. Why do they have this perception, not reality? And make them understand how it's their perception. Work with the team to identify any potential solution that should be able to make retrospectives more effective from their persona standpoint. And this could include adjusting maybe the format, maybe the discussion, the structure of retrospective, incorporating new activities or tools such that the team will feel more encouraged, participated, engaged, and finding the better way to connect with the team in this retrospective such that we should meet the goals and objective. So that will demonstrate the leadership as well. And a true leadership and self management will be to empower the team to take the ownership, while listening to them also enable them to understand the framework all in all.
Yeah, very well summarized, Sagar. So we have to retrospect ourselves also, that what we as a Scrum Master are doing, just putting events in place and just teaching them that this is how thing is, it will hardly create an impact. You have to find out ways to create such an environment which is growth oriented, promote self management and self organization.